Welcome to Ask Rabbit Entitled Parents, where an entitled mother is angry that homeless people have food. I have some amazing stories for you today, so let's get into it. This first post is titled, Entitled Mom Gets Pissed Because Her Baby Didn't Win a Prize at the Church Fair. Hey y'all, me again. Here's yet another tale from my volunteering at church. This happened about a year ago, but it isn't as bad as the other story, but it's the same Karen. Anyway, on to the story. I had to cover 3 games total until the other volunteers that covered the other 2 showed up. They were all near each other though, so that's a plus. Anyway, I had to cover a dice roll game, a game called Troll Doctor, and sadly, Goldfish Pong. Bit of a side note, if you've ever had to deal with managing a goldfish game, then you know how many entitled parents show up. Today was the last day before closing, so we were packed with kids. I had like 5 kids waiting on each game, but on Goldfish, I noticed a kid getting antsy and he started cutting kids in line. Now, I was told not to let kids cut in line as it may upset others, so I kindly asked him to go back to where he was, which he did until he left the line. I thought he was going to get food from the food area, so I was managing my games, going along well until Karen came by and this heck ensued. Excuse me! I didn't notice her since she had a little kid and thought she was talking to the one managing the bouncy castle, so I kept letting kids play, but then the entitled mom pushed the game backwards, which was easy since it was on a foldable table, and finally got my attention. Ma'am, please don't do that. You can knock the tank over and kill the fish. I don't care. Why did you tell my baby he can't play? Because he was cutting the kids in line who wanted to play before him, and we are limited on supplies. Now, stupidly at this moment, I decided to remove one of the dead fish, and the second I did, I realized I screwed up. Why did you kill that fish in front of me and my baby? He deserves a fish now for compensation before I get my dear friend who runs this place. Her son was smugly smiling at this. First of all, it was dead from when you shook the table. Second of all, what's her name then? Deborah? No, her name is Susan. That's what I meant. Susan and I go back to high school. Oh, that's a shame. Her name is Madison. Oh, she is also a friend of mine. Now, I knew she was trying to lie to me, so I said, okay, she's over by the food tent. Go talk to her. 15 minutes go by, I'm down to 5-ish fish, and kids are just watching them, but they see a dead one, and I told them I'll remove it, but since I remembered Karen, I put it into one of the plastic bags of water. Then entitled mother goes by. Madison said I should get a fish for compensation. Now, this being a full-on adult that also teaches at the CCD, volunteers are the teachers, who Madison knows I hate, she would always skip over the important lessons and just play games, I knew the dead fish was a good plan. Here you go. Thank you. Now, was that so hard? Yeah, idiot. You should have given us a fish before since Madison is my mommy's best friend. Shh, we got your fish. Now let's go home. And as far as I know, they didn't realize it was dead until they got home and the festival shut down. Alright, this next post is titled, Apparently, I'm a free babysitting service. I've been seeing an increase in Christian entitled parents, so I thought this was an add-in one. I grew up as a pastor's kid, and the amount of entitlement I've seen is astounding. This story is one that came to mind. People tend to see pastors' kids as an extension of the church and not as real people, so we would constantly have people taking advantage of us, and my parents would make us go along with it. There was this lady that attended our church that had 3 small children aged 3 to 6. I was about 15 years old. The lady would often drop her kids off for free babysitting at our house. My parents would, of course, say it's fine, and I would be stuck watching them. One day, she decided she needed free babysitting and dropped them off without any extra clothes or anything. The first day, the youngest kid was sitting in my lap and threw up all over herself. I gave her a bath and found a long shirt for her to wear while I washed her clothes. That night, entitled parent never showed up to pick up the kids. So I put them to bed in my bed and slept on the floor. The little girl peed in my bed, and the older sister informed me that she wasn't potty trained, and entitled parent said that I would buy pull-ups for her. I informed my mother, who went out and got some. Then all 3 kids started throwing up and had fevers. We tried calling entitled parent, but she didn't answer. The next day, we managed to get a hold of entitled parent, who told me that she was not able to pick up the kids until the next day. So I had 3 sick kids for 2 days. She finally showed up the next afternoon, and I told her the kids had been sick. "Oh, I know. That's why I needed a babysitter. Their grandma said she wouldn't watch them if they were sick, and I needed a break." The next day, I was homesick, and entitled parents showed up at my house, and my parents weren't home. She tried dropping off her kids, and I refused and told her I was homesick from school. She replied I should be able to watch her kids because I was home. I refused. She then called my mother and tried convincing her that she needed me to watch them because she had a hair appointment. My mother told her no because I was sick and I would get them sick. She responded saying that they were already sick and she didn't have daycare, so I should just stay home and watch them for a couple days until we were all better. I shut the door in her face. My mother never made me babysit for her again. I think if I was in that situation, I would call and report that there's 3 abandoned kids at my house. Alright, I hope you guys are enjoying these stories so far. Before we get into the next few stories, if you guys could please do me a huge favor and smash that like button down below and make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future content. Alright, this next post is titled, "Got screamed at by mom after I wouldn't let her kid pet my service dog." Happened today. I'm at the movie theater to see Onward. I have a service dog, a very large German Shepherd. His vest is navy camo and made out of my old uniform. Very clear, do not pet patches. This kid, like 12 years old, ran at my dog and tried to pet him. I blocked his hand and told him, "Don't pet him." He asked why, and I said, "You should never touch dogs you don't know." I tend to say this rather than, "Don't touch service dogs," because in general, you should never pet a dog you don't know. And freaking entitled mommy came screeching out of freaking nowhere. "Don't tell my child what to do." I told her, "So raise him better," and walked off with my dog while listening to her scream. Freaking hell. Alright, this next post is titled, "Entitled Mom Wants My Boyfriend to Be Sick?" Fine, he's sick. First time posting to this subreddit, but this happened recently, so I figured I'd share it with you all. Let me set the stage. This was a couple weeks ago when me and my boyfriend, who is Chinese, this is important later, were out at a public park enjoying a nice weekend day afternoon. It was relatively warm and the sun was shining, so we figured we'd just walk a few laps and enjoy the weather. We saw an ice cream cart, got some, he paid, what a gentleman, and sat down on the nearby bench and began eating it. I was enjoying it when I saw some lady with the angriest scowl walk running towards us. Where's your face mask?" Looking at my boyfriend. "What? You heard me. Are you trying to get all of us infected?" "What are you talking about? He didn't do anything wrong." "Yes, he is. He's going to infect my entire family with the virus." She pointed to her family, who was standing quite a ways back. The father had his head in his hands, and the boy, looked about maybe 5 or 6, was sitting on the ground playing with the grass. "Lady, I am not sick. Just because I'm Chinese doesn't mean I'm infected with the plague. Now, we are trying to enjoy our day together, so can you just go the freak away?" "You are!" She then grabbed my boyfriend's forehead. Me and my boyfriend just stared at her in disbelief. As the seconds dragged by, she let go, dug into her oversized purse, and pulled out some hand sanitizer. She then poured copious amounts of it onto her hands like she's trying to burn them off. "He's warm!" I snapped out of it, and I stood up suddenly. She backs up a bit. "Don't you ever touch my boyfriend again, you poop head." I turned to my boyfriend. "Let's get out of here before I do something I regret. This lady just wants you to be sick." My boyfriend stands up and smirked at me. He then took a deep breath and began the loudest and most exaggerated coughing fit I've ever seen. She instantly turned around, ran to her family, and got out of there like a bat out of hell. We started laughing. That was so mean. Hey, if she wanted me to be sick that badly. Luckily, we managed to salvage the rest of our date, and we had no further problems from anyone else. Some people. Alright, this next post is titled, "Entitled Mom Comes into Homeless Shelter and Gets Angry at Us for Feeding Freeloaders." I work at a Salvation Army as a food services assistant. That basically means I work the food counter and ready the meals for those who need them. One day, this lady walks in. There is no way she is homeless, as she's wearing a Louis Vuitton sunglasses and name brand shoes. "Hello, if you want to volunteer, do it on the website. You need to close this socialist hub down." This was maybe the funniest thing anybody had ever said to me, and I tried my hardest not to chuckle. Excuse me? Why can these people get food? If they get it, I deserve it too. Ma'am, this is for people who can't afford food. Well, I deserve food. My son deserves food more than these freeloaders. Right, son? She says, turning around. Her son is not there. Hold on. She walks out, and about 15 seconds later, her son walks in with her. This kid, probably 7 or 8, is playing on an iPhone 10. It's definitely his. Ma'am, you do not need food. Your son is playing on an iPhone 10. Well, I help society. Why do these lazy freeloaders get free stuff? A voice from behind me says, Freeloaders? I turn around. I recognize the guy. He'd been in and out getting care packages and meals for weeks. Very nice guy. Woman, I've done more for society than you. I worked for Habitat for Humanity, building houses for people who needed them. I volunteered after natural disasters. But when my house burned, I lost everything and nobody helped me. Now I'm here. Both me and Entitled Mom were awestruck. She just backed out the door. Was that all true? Nah, I'm a writer. I haven't laughed that hard in months. Alright, that's going to wrap up today's Entitled Parents video. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories today. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future content. And make sure you check out the other Entitled Parents, Pro Revenge, and Malicious Compliance videos on this channel. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.